Everyone, it's Justine, and today I have a fun masking card on how to make this background and do a little bit of a misty stamping technique today as well to show you. So let's get started right away. I grabbed a piece of masking paper and I grabbed some of these cloud dies from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to be cutting them out so that I have all of these as masks. If you don't know what masking paper is, it's pretty much paper that when you peel off the back it's sticky, and it's not so sticky that it would rip your paper, but it's sticky enough that it'll stay on your paper while you're doing blending and things like that. Then you can remove it and you'll have your background preserved without any issues. And I'll show you just now how that works. So I've now cut out the clouds. I have them all here and I can reuse these, whatever ones I don't end up using. So I'm going to add these to my card panel that measures 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm taking off the mask, so the sticky back, and then I'm placing them on my card in a random pattern. And as you can see, they're sticking to the card, and that's the sticky side, and then the top part is not sticky, and these will peel off just like Post-it notes when I'm all finished. So once I have all my clouds and I'm satisfied with the way that it looks, I grab some tumbled glass ink, which is my favorite color of ink for a really bright blue sky. And I'm going to grab my craft mat so I have a nice slick surface, and I'm going to start off the surface in a circular motion and work my way into the card, and I'm going to just sort of fade off into the background. So I'm going to have this blue sky, but I don't want it to be covering my whole card. I don't want it to distract from the stamp because the stamp's really quite pretty. If you haven't noticed yet, with my cards, I absolutely love doing distressed inked backgrounds and adding solid stamps on top, and this card is not going to be any different. I think it really brings out the solid stamp. It really makes it quite beautiful and elegant looking. And now I'm going to be able to take off my mask, and you're going to see that the white background is preserved behind the clouds, and I have these really bright, fun white clouds in the background. These masks I can simply stick onto my plastic protector that I keep my dies in, and I can use them later. Generally, you can reuse your masks a couple of times until they get too saturated with ink and start to fall apart, and then you know you can't use them anymore. So be sure to keep that in mind. So sometimes with cling stamps, you'll notice that you end up stamping crookedly because unlike clear stamps, you can't see exactly what you're stamping. Now, here's my trick. I grab a piece of transparency or acetate or a piece of packaging or the back of a stamp sheet, and I simply ink up my stamp and I stamp onto the plastic part. And then I can see, hey, is this straight or is it not straight? What do I need to adjust? And then I simply just wipe off the stamp that I stamped, because it's on the plastic, with a baby wipe. And you have to make sure that it's dry after, or else you'll get like a really wet sort of stamping the next time around. But overall, you can adjust your stamp until you like the way that it looks on the card. You have it exactly where you want it, and then just simply remove the plastic and stamp. This is a really handy way to preserve your work that's already been done. For example, I didn't want to stamp this just freehand because I've already spent so much time on the background. So just by grabbing a piece of plastic that you can reuse over and over again, stamping it to make sure it's straight, and then removing the plastic, and having the Misty tool, because the Misty tool is going to keep that stamp in that exact same place as I stamped the last time, it's going to save you a lot of time and hassle and struggles and maybe even a few tears. So now I know that my stamp is perfectly straight. I can stamp it directly onto my paper. Now I'm going to do a little bit of masking again. So this time I grabbed just a piece of masking paper, and I covered my sentiment because I want to stamp this stamp here over my sentiment, and I want the sentiment not to interfere with the sentiment, or my image not to interfere with the sentiment. That would make sense. So I'm stamping it onto my paper. So this is still the same panel as I've been working on the whole time, and I am going to stamp it actually twice because you can see here, I can remove the mask, my sentiment is preserved, and my stamp is good to go, but I did want it to get a little more black, and I did want to get the strings of the balloon just a little more closer to the words. So I cleaned off my stamp completely, and I kind of free-handed this one. So I knew I wanted the strings to be stamped a little bit more, so I made sure that those were covered, and then I simply just went down with the balloons and didn't bother inking up the little girl this time. And it was just worked out absolutely perfectly. So next up, I just created my card base. I already have them pre-cut and pre-folded pretty much. They're 4 1/4 by 11 and folded in the middle at 5.5 inches. And I'm just going to glue my panel onto my card. And I thought about adding embellishments, but I think the card looks quite beautiful on its own. The only thing I might have added were some white sequins, but that would be about it. So I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial on the Misty stamping technique as well as masking. All the supplies used are listed below in the video description or on my blog. Up at the top, you can click to check out my blog. You can click on either of those moving videos to check out other masking techniques, or you can click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day.